This is News Talk 980 CKNW. Vancouver's News, Vancouver's Talk.
A 400-year-old legal tradition came to an end recently with the Conservative government's passing of Bill C32. Basically, it says that there's no more exemptions for husbands and wives to not testify against each other, although it's not quite as simple as that. But as of right now, husband and wife can be compelled to testify against the other. Joining us on the line to talk about the implications of this is Wally Opal, of course, former Attorney General of this province, former judge, Commissioner of the Missing Women Inquiry, Chancellor of Thompson Rivers University. Wally, you got to stop doing stuff. It's going to take me the whole show just to introduce you.
You don't have to go into all that stuff.
How are you?
Hey, always good to be with you, Shane.
You as well, Wally. Appreciate it. Okay, so what does this mean? And not just in general, but it does have a sort of a local implication with the Nuttall-Crody terror trial because although it hasn't been acknowledged so far, it still could potentially have an effect if there is an appeal. But what does it mean for this change?
What it really means is, and you hit the nail on the head when you said a long-standing tradition in the law has really come to an end. And what the government has done is they passed a Victims' Bill of Rights. And what that means is it will allow one spouse to testify against another as to what that spouse saw the other one do. See, historically, there was what we call spousal immunity, and that existed for many centuries. And what that meant was that a husband could not testify against his wife, or vice versa. And the reason for that was it was to preserve matrimonial harmony. And it was always thought in the law that the husband and wife were one person in law and that they spoke with one voice. Well, we know that's not really accurate and probably hasn't been accurate for a long time. Mm-hmm. So the only exemption there was if there was a case of sexual assault or an assault on a spouse, then spousal immunity principle would be waived and the victim spouse could testify against the other spouse. So what the law does now under this new act is it allows a person, a husband, to testify against a wife or a wife to testify against a husband with respect to crimes that they saw the other commit.
But the weird thing here, though, Wally, is though you can testify about what you saw your partner do, you cannot testify what your partner told you about it, which must be an uncomfortable distinction.
Right, and I don't know why they've kept that distinction because they've gone a long way to waive the other immunity that there was. But in any event, they have preserved the sanctity of the conversations that take place between a husband and wife. So you cannot be forced to testify as to what your spouse said to you, but you can now testify as to what crime you saw your spouse commit. So that's a major step, and again, that step was taken by the federal government in order to assist victims of crime. And they've gone a little further, and that allows one spouse to track the progress or otherwise of the spouse. Let's assume for a minute that a spouse has been sentenced to a term of imprisonment.
Yeah.
So the spouse who's on the outside can track the progress of that person in the event that person may be applying for parole or something of that sort. So what the bill does, what the law does, Shane, it keeps the people apprised as to what's going on. So the victims of crime will know what is going on, and they will know whether or not the offender is in the process of getting released or is going to apply for parole or anything of that sort.
Okay, Wally, from your position and expert position at that, how will this impact the current sort of legal system? Are there cases out there that could now go back on appeal with this new development and have an impact there? Or is there, I mentioned the Nuttall-Crody case, is there others out there you think that suddenly this can have an impact?
Well, it cannot have a retroactive effect.
Okay.
Because this is a procedural matter. So, but from now on, it will make it easier for the Crown and for the defense to show what one spouse saw, whereas they couldn't do that in the past. And I think what this does is it really recognizes the reality of what's taking place out there. As I said, the basis of this law was that the husband and wife were considered to be one person in law. Well, we know that really isn't the case anymore. We have, we have independence of people, and we have women who have asserted their rights as they ought to have, and so people are treated individually and separately, and this really is more realistic as it keeps in tune with what's going on in our society.
Wally, always a pleasure touching base. Thank you so much for this.
All right, good to talk to you, Shane.
Good to talk to you as well. Our thanks to Wally Opal, lawyer with Boughton Law. Boughton Law, CKNW's on-air legal analyst. By the way, Wally Opal, honestly, one of the nicest guys you'll ever want to meet.